How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the second episode in the Ultimate Game Room side series, The Unlicensed Game Era. And episode 2 will also be volume 2 of the Unlicensed Gaming History. In episode volume 2, I will be focusing on one of the worst game makers of all time. And there's a bigger story with this crap developer company that made the most ugliest video game cartridges with the hideous artwork for their cartridge labels, instruction booklets, and box covers. And this lame-ass game developer is called Color Dreams. Ugh. Now, oh boy, it's time to put on this fucking mask now. Alright. Time to get to work.
Color Dreams is the leader in non-infringing Nintendo-compatible game cartridges.
Bullshit. I thought Tengen/Atari Games was.
Our advanced technology game packs provide hours of high-quality home entertainment.
Wow, did you hear that? Color Dreams Advanced Game Packs provides high quality and home entertainment. My fucking ass they do. Color Dreams provides low quality, that is also known as crap, and Color Dreams also provides that you spend your hard-earned currency and to waste your fucking time that you'll never get back.
Backed by multi-million-dollar financing, our manufacturing facility can produce whatever quantity is required to meet your demand.
Being backed by multi-million-dollar financing? Obviously, you're more focused on quantity over quality. Big ass mistake there. And who would ever demand any quantity or even quality from the likes of Color Dreams? Especially when we got good quantity or quality games that already meets the standards, like from licensed NES games like Super Mario Bros., Zelda, and Metroid. Obviously another hack job from Color Dreams.
Our games are supported by national advertising in all major video game magazines to guarantee that the high demand for our products continues.
More likely, false advertising.
Color Dreams has taken preventative measures against patent infringement from the start. Our game cartridges are designed with the help of a legal team consisting of its own counsel as well as outside patent counsel to ensure that the games are infringement-free. From the cartridge case design to our lockout chip, you can see it is the goal of Color Dreams to engineer around rather than challenge patented technology. The fact that Nintendo has not sued Color Dreams is perhaps your best assurance that our games are infringement-free.
Surprisingly, this time they're correct. It was legal to put unlicensed games on the NES without the seal of approval. Thanks to Atari Games, no matter how good or shitty the game is, any developer or publisher can make a game on the Nintendo Entertainment System without the official seal of approval from Nintendo. And Color Dreams was one of those unlicensed game hacks that saw this opportunity to take advantage of it. So Color Dreams didn't break any laws. But there are plenty of ways that Nintendo can prevent game makers like Color Dreams from releasing their stuff on their hardware. But we'll get to that part later.
To understand why we've been able to take the market by storm, let's look at the Color Dream releases.
Hold it. I'll draw the line here on this trailer because, like I said, these game reviews will be in the future. I'm just showing this promo to give you all a brief history of what Color Dreams was. Now time to continue with the story from my perspective. I can't fucking believe that these cartridges even exist in the first place. Each shit cartridge has two colors. Light shit stained blue and light shit stained black. Not having these rare feces in my video game collection is a good thing to me, because something tells me that these lame ass cartridges might have been somewhere else that we probably don't want to know. Probably up a warhog's asshole. So it's probably a good thing that I don't own any of these abominations to begin with. And I have no intention on spending an arm and a leg for something that a possible non-human creature shouted out on our planet. So I've been playing these turds off an emulator. I totally don't think Nintendo wouldn't mind one damn bit, because Nintendo never made any revenue off of these unlicensed turds to begin with. So that should make sense. Color Dreams were responsible for awful games like Menace Beach, Master Two in the Trunk or Who, Crystal Mines, Baby Boomers, Secret Scout, and Raid 2020. Color Dreams was founded in 1988. And of course, Color Dreams is one of those unlicensed game makers that bypassed the lockout chip. But Color Dreams didn't have many retailers to sell their games due to Nintendo not giving them the seal of approval and Nintendo not getting any revenue from Color Dreams. So Nintendo forced retailers to cease and desist, or Nintendo would stop doing business with these retailers, which the retailers did cut ties with Color Dreams because these retailers can't afford to lose business with Nintendo, which is definitely the right decision. So that precisely explains why these Color Dream cartridges are high price up the ass on eBay. And Nintendo was totally on the correct path this time, because unlike Tengen/Atari games, Color Dreams didn't have any business making a profit off these games in the first place. Like I said before, Tengen has good quality games just like the official seal approval NES games. But Color Dreams and other unlicensed game makers created a library of games made out of poop plastic cartridges with awful games that have shitty ass graphics, lame ass music, horrendous gameplay, and the games that don't make sense whatsoever. And as I said before, these games must have been created by a non-creature that came from a delusional world. Actually, I said from a different planet, but actually, delusional world sounds better with this one. Or maybe it could be just that these game creators don't give a shit on how horrible these games are. It's possible they just make these awful games on purpose just to scam you for what's inside your wallet. Douchebags. So Nintendo was absolutely in the right to make sure that these games from Color Dreams don't sell at any stores, and not to give Color Dreams the seal of approval, because these games from Color Dreams are notorious to its legendary ass suckage, and nobody wants anything to do with these games. Well, except to shit on them whenever you have a chance or have the time, like I'm doing now, for instance. But having retailers pulling the plug on games from Color Dreams didn't quite stop Color Dreams from trying to make a profit. Since games from Color Dreams were selling poorly and retailers are refusing to do business with them, they tried to recreate a different name for their brand, Bunch Games, in 1990. Yeah, Color Dreams using another name as a scapegoat. That wasn't working out for Color Dreams either. Bunch Games. More likely, bunch of poop games. And since Bunch Games wasn't working out for them, Color Dreams came up with a better idea to at least make some profit without Nintendo hindering them, by hiding behind religion. When Color Dreams started focusing on Christian-based games, in 1991, Color Dreams became Wisdom Tree, a company that distributes unlicensed religious games.
So are you guys getting hungry?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you ever worry that they're playing too much Nintendo?
Oh, not anymore. See, Matt has Bible adventures. They're actually learning Bible stories while they're playing
Something strange
Nintendo.
about this
Quick, get
picture.
that Bible Club before you run out of power.
Bible Adventures features 3 games in 1 cartridge: Noah's Ark, Save Baby Moses, and David and Goliath. A must for every family with Nintendo. Call 1-800-77-BIBLE. That's 1-800-77-BIBLE.
Color Dreams, under the name Wisdom Tree, did make more success than before with their sales, since Wisdom Tree was only focusing on making religious type games. Wisdom Tree unlicensed NES games were sold only at Christian bookstores. Christian bookstores never retailed any video games until Wisdom Tree came along, so Nintendo can't do anything about that at all. So Nintendo backed off on them, because Christian bookstore never had any deals with Nintendo. So I would have to say that it was a clever move on the behalf of Color Dreams taking that direction. But also in a way, it was a coward move for using the store to sell Christian related things and to use God as a shield in order to make a quick buck. I'm not trying to judge for their religious beliefs or anything, but if that was the direction they were taking, that was just plain dishonest. And while at it, a dick-ass move too. Under the name of Wisdom Tree, they offered the same quality type of garbage games like Color Dreams previously did. Except Wisdom Tree made Christian-based games, and also remade some of the previous games from Color Dreams into religious projects. From like Color Dreams Menace Beach to Wisdom Tree's Sunday Funday. Yeah, you remember the first UGR Back to School episode I did, where I actually started out with the latest Sunday Funday game and concluded it with the original Sunday Funday, which was Menace Beach, which focused more on action. Those games were the only unlicensed games I ever did. Well, if you haven't seen that episode, please do check it out. I'll leave a link below. And since I just started the UGR Unlicensed Game series, I know it's going to sound strange, but I should at least give these games another chance, because something tells me I'm not done with them. But if I do get back into these shitty games, it will be a different perspective. And I will start out with Menace Beach and end it with Sunday Funday this time. Well, I'm getting all off track here, so back to Wisdom Tree games. Most of the Wisdom Tree games were at least original compared to Color Dreams. But Wisdom Tree games used a similar engine as licensed NES games, but totally not as good. In a way, not too bad either, to be honest. Like Bible Adventures. Bible Adventures was a ripoff to Super Mario Bros. 2, and Spiritual Warfare was a religious RPG game that was ripped off from The Legend of Zelda. Except these ripoffs added Bible verses into their games to keep up with their religious faith. These games from Wisdom Tree may be flawed and low quality, but in somewhat way, some of them are not that bad. But there are some Wisdom Tree games that are just weird, like Bible Buffet. Oh my god, look at the artwork! And I'm sure as shit don't know what to tell you about that one, as of now. And there are some Wisdom Tree games that just suck ass, even worse than Color Dreams. Like Sunday Funday was even worse than Menace Beach. I said that in my Back to School episode, and so far that was the only one-up that Color Dreams has over Wisdom Tree. Other than that, Wisdom Tree games practically improve over Color Dreams. Yeah, I need to revisit both those two so I can take a closer look to be sure. Getting off track again. Wisdom Tree games also managed to get their unlicensed games released on other platforms like the Sega Genesis, home computers, and even a King James Bible game that's practically reading the Bible and doing quizzes on the Nintendo Game Boy. It's not like any other Game Boy cartridge I've ever seen before. The Wisdom Tree also did Game Boy ports of the Bible games that were on the NES as well. And also one game on the Super Nintendo, Super Noah's Ark 3D, which was a clone of the Super NES version of Wolfenstein 3D. which instead of killing Nazis, you're putting unhappy animals to sleep with something like a slingshot with fruit. Super Noah's Ark 3D was most likely the only unlicensed game on the Super Nintendo, because Nintendo was fully aware of any unlicensed game being released on the NES without their consent. So practically, Nintendo increased their lockout chip to a higher security where only licensed NES games are allowed to be played on the Super Nintendo console. But Wisdom Tree did find a trick to bypass the NES seal of approval once again. First of all, as you can take a look at the Super Noah's Ark 3D cartridge, or the image of the cartridge, it's shaped like the Super NES game Genie and the Sonic & Knuckles cartridge on the Sega Genesis. Just like both of those two, on top of the Super Noah's Ark 3D, the Super Noah's Ark 3D cartridge has a cartridge input on the top. Now what gives? Well, I'll tell you. To put any NES game with official seal approval on top of the Super Noah's Ark 3D cartridge input to bypass the lockout chip in order to play Super Noah's Ark 3D game on the Super Nintendo. And it's not a bad game, to be honest, but getting the original copy of Super Noah's Ark 3D just like this is super rare. But these days there are repro carts of Super Noah's Ark 3D you can play on the Super Nintendo like a regular Super Nintendo game these days. If you want to get it that way, that is. And I do have more information on Super Noah's Ark 3D, but I'm going to save it for a different episode, because there's much more to talk about with that game. Well, that's pretty much all there is to the Color Dreams of Wisdom Tree story. Wisdom Tree is surprisingly still around to this day. They even have a website where you can purchase reproduction cards for the consoles that the games were previously on, if you can't find the originals. And it also seems like Wisdom Tree had a deal with Pico Interactive, which Pico Interactive were responsible for re-releasing many retro DOS PC games on Steam and Good Old Games for modern operating systems. So Wisdom Tree did better things than they did when they were Color Dreams. Maybe they did find Jesus and repented after all. But what happened in the past remains in the past. Actually, doesn't deserve to exist at all. Like with Color Dreams. Color Dreams was indeed an abomination to video game developers. And Color Dreams has been thrown through the hellhole of diarrhea 30 years ago. Color Dreams should always remain there. And I have plans on making more episodes on a few of the Color Dream and Wisdom Tree games so I can dig in a little deeper. But now it's time to log my ass out of this mess, because I've been flapping my gums long enough. Whew! I'm glad that's finally over. Now, to be truthful, this didn't go as bad as I thought it would. Color Dreams indeed did made a pile of excrement on the NES. And at the beginning, Color Dreams knew that they weren't getting anywhere because of Nintendo pushing them out. So Color Dreams had another trick up its sleeve by throwing their shitty ass games under the bus with their Color Dreams name to hide behind Christian bookstores to make a profit off their games with a permanent name change of Wisdom Tree. I know on the bright side of Volume 2, I seem to have a rough start with a positive ending. So at least they threw their old crap out to bring in some new crap that ain't crappy as their previous crap. So that is at least good news there. But don't get me wrong, because both Color Dreams and Wisdom Tree games are either mediocre or just plain old garbage. And time to time again, I still have to dig into these games, or turds, to see if I can at least find some gems hidden in what those games are turds. At least my part on the Color Dreams of Wisdom tree is done. I still got other unlicensed game makers to expose from my perspective. And I want to make sure I get all these other unlicensed game makers exposed so I can conclude the history in Volume 3. Because I don't want a history Volume 4. At least for the NES era. Until then, I'm fucking done. Thank you all very much for watching. And this is Dixon of the Ultimate Gamer. I'm logging off.